What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. I have a deck profile for Zoroark-GX expanded here. I basically imported the deck from Limitless TCG, the top 16 list from Anaheim, and then made some changes that I think are completely necessary for Dallas. Just played a couple games online to test out the deck. I'm still learning it, but I think all the inclusions so far are correct. Can't say they're the best, but I think with the decks I'm expecting to be at Dallas, the mindset I have for most of these counts are correct. So I'm just going to go over it real quick. Also, thanks to everyone that's watching live right now and in the chat and whatnot. So we have the basis of the deck. It's the 4 Zorua. Paralyzing Gaze is just usually the best Zorua to play since it has flip a coins of heads. The defending is now paralyzed. 4 Zoroark-GX for both for its trade to discard and draw 2, and for Riotous Beating because we're playing Skyfield. So Riotous Beating does 180 or 210 with a choice band if you have a full bench. So Zoroark-GX is extremely good and expanded for its drawing and its attacking. We have two different one prize Zoroarks in here. So we have Foul Play. Choose one of the defending Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. This is really good against generic one-shot Pokemon that you can just slap a band on this even sometimes. So like Buzzwole, Knuckle Impact swings for 160. So if you don't have enough prizes to copy Absorption, you can copy Knuckle Impact with Foul Play and a choice band. Or if you have enough prizes, you can just copy Absorption GX without a choice band. So attacks in that nature, but Buzzwole GX is usually a big target for Foul Play. And then we also have Mind Jack for 2 reasons. The stand-in ability is pretty good. So you can put a float stone on this guy and just stand in and retreat, kind of like Keldio's Russian. But Mind Jack also does a lot of damage, 30 for each opponent's bench Pokemon. So with a full bench without Skyfield, that's 160 or 190 with a choice band. And then when they have a full bench with Skyfield, it does 250 if they have a full 8 bench. So a possible 280 with a choice band. And then going off of the trades with Zoroark-GX, we have the 2 Execute Propagate. Once during your turn, this Pokemon's in your discard pile, you may put this Pokemon into your hand. If you're new to Expanded, just want to throw it out there that this gets reset every time it goes to the discard pile. So you can propagate it back to your hand, discard it with trade, propagate that same egg with its ability, trade it away, propagate 2 eggs, Ultra Ball away, reuse the propagates again. Since they are going in and out of the discard pile, it does reset the propagate. It does say once during your turn, but that clause really doesn't matter since it's getting reset. We're playing 1 Mr. Mime Bench Barrier, so this is for a couple of reasons. One is the new Wailord Magikarp Tag Team GX. If it has 8 energy on it, which is possible in Archie-Stoice, it does 100 to all of your opponent's Pokemon. That's its GX attack. But Bench Barrier prevents this. So if you know you're playing against Archie-Stoice, it's probably wise to put this out turn 1 with Bridget, or Pokecom or Ultra Ball, or however you're getting out your Pokemon turn 1, because they can potentially sweep all of your Zoruas and Wimpods and what have you off of the board. It is highly unlikely, in my opinion, that they'll get it turn 1, but it is nice to have Bench Barrier as an option to prevent that. It's also really good against Buzzwole GX, which I think will be getting more play for Dallas Regionals. Next, we have our backup attacker, one of our many attackers. We have 3 different Zoroark attackers. We have the Mew, and we also have Golisopod. So the 2/2 Golisopod, first impression, does 120 if this was on your bench this turn and became your active. We have Guzma, Sorola, Floatstone, hard retreating. So it's easy to get first impressions, extra damage. And this grass typing is really, really important. So this Oko's a Seismitoad X. If you have a choice band, first impression one-shots a Tag Team Wailord. It also one-shots a Wailord EX if you're coming up against stall decks. It one-shots Keldeo EX and other grass weak EX and GXs without the choice band, or it can just do 120 or 150 to a GX or EX with a choice band, 120 to anything. For 1 energy, it's a really efficient attacker, especially if you're under something like Parallel City or Pseudo-Wudo Roadblock, where your Zoroarks aren't doing as much damage as you would like them to. Golisopod-GX can really come in and do some moderate damage for only 1 energy. Armor Press is also really great. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 20 less damage from attacks. So for Grass DCE 100, and you're still one-shotting Toads with this. You're preventing Zoroarks from one-shotting you unless they are playing like Kukui on top of the Skyfield 8 Pokemon and Choice Band. And then Crossing Cut 150, this one-shots all the grass-weak things as well. It also one-shots some interesting one-prize Pokemon. It one-shots Vileplume is something of note that I realized it one-shots today in one of my testing games. I played against the Cradily Sceptile Vileplume variant, and Crossing Cut GX can one-shot that, because First Impression can't, because it's not a GX, so Choice Band doesn't add the extra damage. Golisopod's just a very efficient attacker, and the grass weakness is actually very relevant right now. Mew EX I've added because I am anticipating Buzzwole GX getting more play, because it can be built to beat Zoroark, and Zoroark is one of the anticipated most played decks for this tournament, which I will be covering later this week on my YouTube channel. But yeah, Mew EX versatile, can copy any of your any attacks in play, not just yours. So slap a DCE and you're using Riotous Beating to get a big one-shot out of nowhere on a Buzzwole. If one of the Zoroarks can't do it for you, or you just want to use them later, and you want to slap down this Mew and use it. 2 Tapu Lele GX for its Wonder Tag ability, and 1 Alolan Muck Power of Alchemy. Each basic Pokemon in play, each player's hand, and each player's discard pile has no abilities. This is good if you need to shut off a Pseudo-Wudo Roadblock. I cut the Grimer, so this was a 1/1 Muck line. The Power of Alchemy, it's not very huge for me right now, so there's a lot of non-Zoroark decks that I expect to be relevant, but this is nice against opposing roadblocks, so you can get your full bench out if needed with the Riotous Beating. It shuts off eggs as well. It's not just shutting off yours, it's also shutting off your opponent's. It shuts off things like Deancey Prism against Buzzwole. It shuts off Volcanion EX and Blacephalon decks. It shuts off everything in Rayquaza GX Ho-Oh. So it's pretty versatile. It's nice to have as an option if your opponent has something that you need to get around that's a basic ability. So that's it for Pokemon. I'm going to take a drink real quick. Now let's get on to the trainers. 1 Battle Compressor to thin out the deck, get supporters in the discard pile that you want to Versus Seeker back, and put your eggs in the discard so you can propagate them. 1 Dowsing Machine is our ace spec because there's so many trainers. We have 30 trainers, a lot of things that are useful, like the Float Stone, a Field Blower. A Field Blower against Garbatoxin is good. A supporter, if we can't find a Versus Seeker, it can be an extra Versus Seeker in some cases. Rescue Stretcher, Choice Band if we need it in a pinch. There's even very, very few times, but very important times, where you can Battle Compress a Floatstone or Choice Band if you need it for a huge play, and then Dowsing Machine it back if the Dowsing Machine is in your hand. 2 Field Blower, good against Garbatoxin and can remove Parallel City if you don't have the Skyfield to replace it. 1 Pokemon Communication as a little extra Pokemon search on top of the 4 Ultra Ball. Since we do have 23 Pokemon, if we have a Pokemon Communication and a sizable hand, we're probably going to have a Pokemon in there as well early and mid-game. Ultra Ball is amazing in this deck because of the propagations. We can use free Ultra Balls sometimes, and Ultra Ball is just a staple anyway most of the time. 4 Versus Seeker, you could potentially lower this to 3 and then play like an extra N or something if you wanted to be a little better against Seismitoad, but I don't feel that that's necessary. 2 Skyfield. This could very well be 3, but we do have other attackers, as I mentioned, the 2 Golisopod, the other 2 Zoroark, 1 Prizers, and the Mew EX. And also Dowsing Machine can get back a Skyfield. So we don't always need Skyfield like some Zoroark decks do, but it's really great to have for bench space and for damage output. 1 Acerola for healing, 1 is absolutely fine because we have 4 Versus Seeker and the Dowsing Machine, and also Acerola helps us go in and out of active Pokemon to make First Impression do the most damage it can. 2 Bridget because we don't want to prize it, and that turn 1 Bridget setup is crucial. 2 Colress, shuffle your hand into your deck and draw a number of cards equal to the number of benched Pokemon. Best draw support you'll have at most points for this deck. Since we have Skyfield and you and your opponent can use that, you'll draw a ton of cards. Faba, because this supporter is crazy. Just send your opponent's DCE to the Lost Zone. Or it can also be used to get rid of Float Stones off the Garbotoxin, and they can't Dowsing Machine it back. 2 Guzma, because again, we don't want to prize this like we do, like I said, with the Bridget. I have gone risky with my Zoroark builds just to fit extra things in, and I only play 1 Guzma, but it does hurt when you prize it, and in this deck, because of First Impression, and you're switching through attackers a little more than other Zoroark builds, the 2 Guzma, I feel, is almost necessary, if not definitely necessary. 1 N is great at a lot of points to put opponents down to smaller hands, but we do have 4 Versus Seekers, so technically you could play 5 Ns in the course of a game, 6 with Dowsing Machine, 9 if you resource manage 3 Versus Seekers and then replay all of them, 4 Ns. Juniper, discard your hand, draw 7, pretty generic. Most decks play 1 of these. It's good if you have a hand you want to get stuff out of, then out your deck, or Colress just isn't drawing you cards, it's turn 1. Bridget isn't going to do it because you don't have a draw supporter, so you discard, draw 7. 2 Choice Band and 2 Float Stone. The two Choice Band, it would be great to have it be 3, but Dowsing Machine allows us to be a little more stingy with our item count, so we have the 2 Skyfield, the 2 Choice Band, whereas it would be nice to have them be 3. But you can have 3 Choice Bands over the course of a game because of Dowsing Machine. Floatstone's good because we're playing the stand in Zoroark that can effectively rush in and retreat for free because of the Floatstone. And also because we want to be able to retreat active Pokemon to attack with First Impression. And then for energy, we have 4 DCE and 3 Grass Energy. The Grass Energy, you'll see in Zoroark Garbodor builds that a lot of them will play 1 Psychic Energy and a Super Rod, or 2 Psychic Energy. Hardly ever, if actually never, 3 Psychic Energy. In here, Golisopod, you might be attacking with it early and mid-game, whereas Trashalanche Garbodor isn't your turn 2 attacker, really, for Zoroark Garbodor. It is in fringe situations, but I'm talking about the general play, the general game you'll be playing. So the 3 Grass Energy, you're going to want to see that a little more here than you want to see the Psychic Energy in Zoroark Garbodor, which is why the count is 3 and not 2, or 1 with a Super Rod or something crazy like that. So Zoroark Garbodor, Archie's, Trevenant, Zoroark Toad, all really great decks going into Dallas. And Zoroark Golisopod has the tools to deal with a lot of this stuff. Oh, and Buzzwole variants. I forgot to mention Buzzwole variants. So Buzzwole variants, you can go Golisopod against their Rocks, Golisopod against their Zygardes, Mew EX against their Buzzwole, Zoroark. Any of the Zoroarks have potential to KO any of those Pokemon, really, because they have very, very high damage outputs. The one thing I think I might have glossed over is the Oranguru Resource Management, which is here for just safety against stall decks. Resource Manage, put 3 cards from the discard to the bottom. It's just nice to have that insurance against stall decks. This will usually save you. You can usually outplay any stall deck if you sequence things right and start resource managing at the right time. Make sure you have the energy in hand on the Oranguru and just put the cards you need back into the deck so you don't deck out. I think I covered everything I wanted to. Definitely look forward to a FlipsideGaming.com article this week For more information on the decks I'm testing for Expanded and talking to my friends about playing. Like I said, I'm not going to Dallas, but I'm definitely all about helping out my friends and viewers and readers of the articles if they are going to compete, and I'm interested in the meta, and I am very excited to watch from home. So if you're going to Dallas, good luck, and be sure to subscribe, comment, and like if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.